Distinguidos miembros and conference attendees, bienvenidos. Welcome to the 41st United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce National Conference. During this morning's session, America's Business Future Plenary will welcome Christina Kolbjornsen from NBC Universal Telemundo Enterprises, Jenny Flores from Wells Fargo, Jovita Carranza with the U.S. Small Business Administration, the Honorable Henry Cisneros, Danny Vargas, and former Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen. We'll also hear from Congressman Anthony Gonzalez, Senators Marco Rubio, and Cory Gardner. And Ramiro Cavazos will present the State of the Chamber. Before we begin, a word from our signature sponsors.
On behalf of Bank of America, it's my honor to help kick off the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, America's Business Future Plenary. As the head of our business banking team for California and Nevada, each day I meet with our clients to assist them as they look forward, plan for tomorrow, and strive to meet their business goals. It's through these conversations that I've come to appreciate the resilience, ingenuity, and grit of America's business community. While the path in front of us may present unique challenges, our business leaders are well equipped to also see the opportunities ahead. In forums like today's session, I hope we will be inspired, informed, and reminded that we're in this together. Hispanic-owned small businesses are pivotal to our path forward and are critical to realizing systemic change more broadly. One reason I'm proud to work at Bank of America is our deep commitment to advancing progress for Hispanic and Latino individuals, from entrepreneurship to education. We've recently announced a $1 billion four-year commitment to accelerate work already underway to help drive racial equality and economic opportunity. You are the growth engine of our economy, and Bank of America is proud to serve 12 million business owner clients. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sara Wardell-Smith, Head of Business Solutions for North America at Visa. On behalf of my colleagues at Visa, I would like to express how proud we are to be working with the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to help further our shared commitment of supporting the small businesses that enable our communities to thrive. 2 years ago, we partnered with the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to launch the Digital Transformation Guide, which still serves as a critical resource to support small businesses as they adapt to digital channels and evolve with consumer preferences. Now, over the last 6 months, we've all experienced a tremendous change in how we work, how we take care of our families, how we interact, and how we shop. We at Visa are seeing firsthand the incredible acceleration and utility of digital payments and e-commerce channels, including the 20% of small businesses that have implemented contactless payments since the start of the pandemic. To support this acceleration, we announced a global multi-year commitment to digitally enable 50 million micro and small businesses worldwide. By working with partners, clients, and governments, we are digitally enabling the communities and small businesses that need it most. Now, we all have a role to play in supporting small business. Through our Visa Back to Business project, you can support businesses in your community that remain open by visiting their stores or shopping on their websites. Visit visa.com/back to business to locate a business open near you, because where you shop matters. Thank you for your time today.
Honored guests and conference attendees, please welcome the Senior Vice President of Corporate and External Affairs for NBC Universal Telemundo Enterprises, Christina Kolbjornsen.
Welcome. On behalf of Telemundo and my colleagues at Comcast and NBC Universal, we're extremely proud to join the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce National Conference. I would like to sincerely thank my good friend Ramiro Cavazos and the entire U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce team for their ongoing leadership and partnership. You and your team perform an invaluable service to Hispanic small businesses across the country. Nuestros Negocios was launched by Telemundo in partnership with the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in April. Our mission to help small and medium-sized Hispanic-owned businesses impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. We wanted to do our part by spotlighting their services and offer resources to help sustain them through these challenging times. Since launch, Nuestros Negocios video content has reached over 3 million views across Telemundo's social and digital platforms, solidifying the need for Spanish language information and advice on navigating businesses through the pandemic. The Nuestros Negocios webinars, or charlas, make up for over 1 million of those video views, with the rest coming from news, on-air, PSA, and other editorial content. We know Hispanic entrepreneurs are the backbone of the U.S. economy, growing twice as fast as any other business in the country and contributing thousands of new jobs in their local communities. Now, more than ever, it is our responsibility to stand with the nearly 4.4 million Hispanic businesses that provides the essential products, services, and jobs to our community every day. They are the economic future of America. And now, I would like to introduce our next panel, Nuestros Negocios, America's Future Plenary, and Ramiro Cavazos, the President and CEO of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, for what will be an engaging conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. We treasure our partnership with you and NBC Universal Comcast. I hope that each of you has gained some valuable knowledge and insight during the first day of our virtual United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce National Conference. We're looking forward to hearing from our members and our partners during this, our second day, at our Nuestros Negocios, America's Business Future Plenary. Thank you for joining us once again. We've been honored, I have been honored these past 2 years to build bridges with each of you and foster new opportunities, build a culture of action, establish meaningful partnerships, and assemble a team led by our board of directors to create prosperity and wealth in our future Latino small business community. We've made many gains during this time, rebuilding long-time relationships, developing new programs, and supporting our more than 260 Hispanic chambers of commerce around the country and our 4.7 million Hispanic-owned businesses. I'm proud that during this time of this difficult pandemic, COVID-19, we've used our strength and our foundation to keep each other going, sharing knowledge and guidance while moving in the right direction to offer our chamber members more support and more essential assistance. We've advocated at all levels of government, federal, state, and local, and with the private sector to represent your interests and the interests of Hispanic-owned businesses during this critical time. We've worked closely with Senator Marco Rubio of the Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship. We've also worked with Representative Nidia Velazquez of the U.S. House Committee on Small Business and with Representative Maxine Waters of the House Committee on Financial Services and with Representative Anthony Gonzalez of the House Committee on Diversity and Inclusion, who you will hear from shortly. Each partnership has had one focus: economic equity and economic relief for the Latino community. While many small businesses were left behind during the first round of COVID-19 economic relief, we were able to secure additional funding and new sources to build more access to capital for our members during the second round. We got to work. We offered guidance to Hispanic businesses with the Paycheck Protection Program to apply for those loans. And we doubled down and converted our website into a bilingual English and Spanish resource portal, a guide that provided partnerships. And for us, we were honored to work with Telemundo and Nuestros Negocios and their campaign. We partnered also with Goldman Sachs and CDC, Small Business Finance, a small community development financial institution based in California, to produce and host bilingual webinars and also how to fill out the PPP loan application. In a webinar, in fact, that we participated with the state of Idaho, we worked with the governor of that state and the president of our local Hispanic chamber and the Consul General of Mexico to assure Hispanic-owned businesses received more equitable access to state economic relief for their small businesses. And guess what? The governor and all of the players agreed, and for that, we got a big win. And we've worked with our corporate members, including those in the Fortune 1000, who have stepped up to do more business with our Hispanic small businesses. We've worked with our government partners, including the U.S. Department of Commerce's Minority Business Development Agency, to provide technical assistance and direct services through the Coronavirus Aid, Response, and Economic Security Act, the CARES Act. And we worked with our Hispanic business enterprises to provide several free supplier-ready trainings prior to this conference to ensure that our small business owners are ready, be at their best at leading effective matchmaking meetings to increase contracts and procurement opportunities for their small businesses. We want to share with you our top 3 priorities to better respond to the needs of our members. We will focus on capital, capacity, and connections. We want to increase access to capital and credit. It's their lifeblood. We also want to assist our Hispanic-owned businesses to increase their capacity to deliver great services and products. And we want to foster meaningful connections to help take your business to the next level. The bottom line is that the Hispanic community is an essential economic driver. Let us never forget that. We are 61 million Latinos and Latinas strong in the United States. 61 million strong, 1 out of every 6 people. And this labor force of ours has a participation rate in the workforce of 68%, as compared to 63% for Anglos and 62% for African Americans. So at this moment in our country, we're getting it done. Latinos are key drivers of the gross domestic product. And in a few short years, 35%, over 1/3 of Gen Zs, those in our communities age 25 and younger, will all be Latinos. And we're tolling the bell loud and clear. Without us, without the success of Hispanic businesses, there is no economic recovery in America. And we need to work with our partners in our diverse communities to together achieve these objectives. During these times of crisis and stress, it will show the true metal that we're made of. The United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce stands tall alongside in business solidarity with our brothers and sisters in the Black, Asian, LGBTQ, disability, Jewish, veteran, immigrant, and other underrepresented communities. We've joined forces at meaningful points of intersection with our allies at powerful national Latino organizations that champion human rights, civil rights, and policy reform to address and resolve systemic inequities in our communities. We must come together now as communities of color, as Americans, and as new allies, neighbors, friends, business leaders, and decision makers to stop racism once and for all and any form of discrimination. And we need to promote reforms in education, housing, and job creation to open up economic opportunities. As Latinos, we don't know our own power, and we need to stop asking for permission to help achieve our own goals. We must embrace change. We must embrace creating wealth using technology for ourselves and our community. We must open doors for one another. Latinas and Latinos belong in the boardroom. We belong in the executive C-suites, and we belong in executive elected office. We belong in any room where decisions are being made. After all, we built this country. And if you're not a member of our chamber, we invite you to join our movement. It's been often said, and I've said it before, that being Latino is a state of mind. And that's true. Our team is grateful to our board of directors who have charted a new future for our organization, helping us all to turn the page and get to work. We're extremely thankful to our Procurement Council Advisory Board and our senior executive corporate advisory boards for their unyielding commitment to supporting our collective work to help strengthen our Hispanic business members. The United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce would not be able to do the work that we do without true believers in our mission and great champions. Every month of the year, in our opinion, is Hispanic Heritage Month for all of us. Our corporate partner members understand that growing their supply chains, they need to invest in Latino-owned businesses. It's a win-win situation and solution every day of the year. The Hispanic Chamber members across the country, each of them our chambers are an economic oasis in their community, and they're committed to helping our Hispanic entrepreneurs start and scale their businesses by providing resources and more technical assistance. Doing business with Hispanic business enterprises is not just the right thing to do, it just makes good business sense. In conclusion, we'd like to share what I know to be true. We're all experiencing hardship, but leaning on our history and our strengths, we will not just survive, we will thrive. We stand on the shoulders of those who have overcome diversity in many forms before. For generations, the Latino community has confronted challenges and acted in a positive way by using our own bootstraps to pick ourselves up and move forward. Adelante, forward. We do not need to wait for permission. We will create our own strategic plan and implement it. Entrepreneurship is deeply within our DNA. Let us not forget that we are the foundation of this country. We were here second only to Native Americans. We helped build this country. We got here over 500 years ago. Since the colonial period, Latinos have been the only ethnic group to fight in every major American war to protect our country. We've shed blood for our country, and we're the only ones who can save this economy by working together with other diverse communities. We get the job done. I urge you to not be afraid of the power you have and we have. Talk about power with your family and your colleagues. Embrace the idea and reality of the power you hold. Do not be afraid of building wealth. Latinos build wealth through our businesses and through home ownership. We need to use our power for creating more good in our communities. The U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce pledge to you is that we will secure wealth and health for all Latinos. Let us make this happen today and for generations to come. Muchísimas gracias. And now, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to the head of Small Business Growth, Philanthropy at Wells Fargo, Ms. Jenny Flores, who will be making a very special announcement this morning. On behalf of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we'd like to thank Wells Fargo for their tireless efforts and their continued investment into our communities during these difficult times. We want to thank them for all they're doing and their investment and what they're going to do in the future for Hispanic and minority-owned businesses in America. Please join me in welcoming Jenny Flores.
Hola amigos, es un privilegio estar aquí con ustedes hoy día. Soy Jenny Flores, directora de Filantropía para el crecimiento de pequeñas empresas en Wells Fargo. Greetings friends, it's a privilege to be here with you today. I'm Jenny Flores, head of Small Business Growth Philanthropy for Wells Fargo. Like you, I've been trying to adapt to this new socially distanced way of life. I wish we could all be together in person, but for now, I hope you and your loved ones continue to be safe and healthy. As we turn our attention to the small business community, I think we'd all agree that business owners have been challenged like never before. But what is so inspiring about the entrepreneurial spirit is that even during the toughest of times, the heart of a small business is resilient. Some will come out stronger on the other side of this. Some will reinvent their business models, and some will start a brand new venture. And we all need to be there for them. As a financial institution, Wells Fargo has a long history of caring for small businesses. We're a leading small business lender, and our merchant services team has helped thousands of small businesses pivot during this time and adapt their business models. We are dedicated to providing access to affordable and accessible capital, as we know it's the #1 issue of concern for Hispanic entrepreneurs and other minority-owned businesses. The Wells Fargo Diverse Community Capital Program works with more than 90 community development financial institutions. And together, over the past 5 years, we've enabled $1.6 billion in loans, 1.8 million hours of training to diverse entrepreneurs, and helped to sustain 195,000 jobs. Specifically in the Hispanic community, This program is helping business owners reach their full potential. With more than $720 million in lending through collaborations with Grameen, Prestamos, NALCAB, Raza Development Fund, and many others. Our newest effort to help businesses impacted by the pandemic is our $400 million Open for Business Fund. We are donating all gross processing fees earned from the government for the administration of the Paycheck Protection Program to nonprofits who serve minority-owned businesses. Our goal is to provide three things: much needed capital, technical support, and the development of long-term resiliency strategies. Capital is a huge part of the Open for Business Fund, but we know that capital alone won't save small businesses or the employment that they sustain. We need multiple avenues of capital coupled with training, technical support, and long-term resiliency planning. Today, I am pleased to announce that we are opening a brand new $50 million grant cycle as part of the Wells Fargo Open for Business Fund. And this will be focused on support and technical assistance to small businesses. The USHCC and its chamber network are a shining example of delivering coaching and guidance to small businesses that need it most and to lifting up Latino small businesses. It's organizations like yours who will help small businesses to rebound. You know the value of delivering long-term support to entrepreneurs and the enormous impact that they have on our neighborhoods through the creation of viable employment for millions of people. We are so excited to see applications for this grant round, which will stay open until October 23rd, and we've announced it here first. The Wells Fargo Gallup Small Business Index, fielded in early August, shows a clear dichotomy between the immediate challenges that small businesses face and their views on the future. While only 19% of small business owners feel optimistic about the present, 41% feel optimism about what the future may hold, marking a 32% quarter-over-quarter rise. To all the entrepreneurs and small business advocates out there, we share your optimism. The small business sector will persevere and be stronger than ever, especially if we all work together on accelerating economic recovery. Thank you for allowing me and Wells Fargo to join you today. And I hope that some of you will connect with our efforts to support Latino, small businesses, and others hard hit through the Open for Business Fund.
And now it's my great honor to introduce a tremendous American leader, our friend Henry Cisneros. He's the chairman and co-chief investment advisor for American III Partners. He is a son of San Antonio, humble beginnings, the grandson of Mexican immigrants that fled to this country after the revolution. He is someone that I consider a mentor and a close personal friend to the Latino business community. He served with distinction as a city councilman and a mayor of the city of San Antonio. He also entered the private sector and was very involved with so many different industries, from media to telecommunications to investment services, and he continues to give back to his community. A few years later, he served with great distinction as the Secretary of the Housing and Urban Development Department for our United States under President Clinton. I'm very proud to call him a friend. He's been a wonderful mentor to me and many of us in our community, and I'm extra proud that he has served 2 terms as the chairman of the board of the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank Henry for everything he's given to our community. We can never thank him enough. And once again, he's with us today to tell us as Latinos across America the best way to take the path forward using data and information and trends and just his own instinctive views on how we can make this economy a great economy again. Please join me in welcoming Henry Cisneros.
Ramiro, thank you very much for inviting me to be present. Please know how proud I am of you, your work over the years, and now as the leader of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I have been for many, many years a fan of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce nationally. I see it in several dimensions. One is the advocacy work led by the CEO and the board that makes a huge difference on Capitol Hill in the administration, in articulating the message to the country as a whole. Another dimension of the Hispanic Chamber that's been so important is that it rests on the network of the Hispanic Chambers of Commerce across the United States. I've had the privilege of speaking probably to 30 different Hispanic chambers across America, from Davenport and the Quad Cities in Iowa to the multiple in California, thriving chambers, to, I'm very proud to say, our hometown chamber in San Antonio, which you were the president of, and which has become one of the largest in the country. It was, or has the reputation of being the first, formed in 1929. Thank you so much for mentioning my grandfather. I'm very proud to follow in his footsteps of community work. He was one of the handful of people, Mexican business, immigrant leaders, who came together in 1929 to form that Chamber of Commerce. It has proven to be a major source of energy and entrepreneurship and enthusiasm, and I'm so glad that its influence has spread from San Antonio to across the country. You'll be pleased to know, Ramiro, that I am presently speaking to you from my downtown office, but I've committed to redevelopment of San Antonio's Colonia Mexicana on the west side, and I'm moving my offices back into the print shop that my grandfather founded and built in 1949. It's a two-story building which we've refurbished and which will be my headquarters on the west side to continue the work of revitalizing not just a neighborhood, but very importantly, the entrepreneurial thrust and momentum of Latino businesses. And again, Ramiro, thank you for your leadership. I can speak to you in these terms because you understand them totally. I will say to this audience that Ramiro is one of the few people that I know who has succeeded and touched lives and made a difference in every single stop in his career, at the city of San Antonio, at the county hospital system, building their entrepreneurial outreach, to the presidency of the Hispanic Chamber, and now as working with you to be the principal voice of Latino business in the United States. I want to say just a few words. Our time is limited this morning, but I want to say a few words about sort of the state of play with respect to Hispanic business as I see it. And I'll break my remarks into three pieces. First, the state of play today. Second, the state of play after the pandemic. And thirdly, the state of play for our future, going forward into the longer term future. Let me begin by saying just a word about where things stand today. As Ramiro's already said, we are the largest minority in the United States, Latinos, all told, Cuban, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Central American, South American, Caribbean, 61 million people. And we need some common voices because we are so diverse. We have different religious traditions, we have different national origins, we have different political views, but on some things we're united. And the voice of our business sector is one of those things that unites us, speaking in classic American terms about an emergent group. There is no group in American history, and you can study this question carefully, that has succeeded without the role of its business leaders, its business voices, its persons with resources, its persons with influence having a say. 61 million people today, but we're also the fastest growing minority group in the United States, moving to at least 100 million by about 2050. I submit we'll reach 100 closer to 2040, which is only 20 years from now. The same distance we've come since the turn of the century, which seems just a few years ago we were worrying about the changes in the computer systems, and that 20 years from now, our population will be near 100 million people. This chamber plays a very important role in the various lives of Latino business interests. The chamber is an advocate for small businesses, and we are one of the fastest growing segments of small business in the United States. Indeed, one could even specify Latinas, women-owned businesses, as the fastest growing segment of all demographic segments in business in the United States. Small business is very important. Sometimes small business takes the form of retail services, business-to-business transactions, contracting and construction, many other areas where we are prominent, food service, but it also takes the form of associations of professionals, the law firms, the doctor's offices, the accountant's offices, the professional services that our community provides. It's also larger businesses. We now are blessed to see the lineup of businesses that follow in the heels of, for example, the groups in Miami, the banks, and the Jorge Mas and his initiatives was the largest, Mastec was the largest Hispanic business in the United States for a time. And then the next category is people in corporations, people in the C-suites, people who are moving up the ranks of corporate leadership. And sometimes we have some breakthrough heroes like Marcelo Claure, who started Bright Star. It became the largest Hispanic business in the United States in Miami in the communications field. It was bought by Sprint. He went on the board of Sprint. They were so impressed with him, they made him CEO of Sprint. And then the Japanese mega firm SoftBank bought Sprint, and Marcelo Claure has become the number 2 man and number 1 internationally for SoftBank. So Latino businesses go from the family at a panaderia on the west side of Phoenix to a mega business leader, international standing in Miami like Marcelo. It's an amazing thing. The Hispanic Chamber, United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and its affiliates play a role in making access to capital a priority, meaning working with banks and others to provide capital for the growth of Latino businesses. That's just smart business on the part of the banks. On contracting, making it possible for our firms to do contracting work, get the bonding necessary, et cetera. To grow businesses by helping startups through venture funds and angel funds and other approaches to small business development. And very importantly, to just watch the network of businesses supporting businesses across the country. It's one of the themes that will set the pace for the future of the United States. And thanks to the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for being a driving force behind that. The second thing I wanted to talk about briefly is Hispanic businesses during and after the pandemic. Ramiro is right that many of our businesses missed out on the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, but our hope is that they will still be able to participate in other relief efforts. And thanks to the Chamber and its affiliates for identifying some of the options on relief that are necessary. The small business sector in America has been hit very hard by the reality of having to close businesses. It's been hit very hard by the fact that workers have had to stay home and consumers of their products have had to be home. I've seen some analysis that show if the lockdown conditions continue out to the 8th month, a very high percentage, 60–65% of small businesses who have closed their doors will simply not be able to reopen. They've spent their capital. They're in very dire straits. So anything we can do together to help Latino businesses survive this period, we must. Anything we can do to help those entrepreneurs get back on their feet after this, have not only the capital, the support, but the ganas themselves, the will themselves to start. And I have every confidence that anyone with the entrepreneurial spirit will take this as a setback, but not a failure. A setback that requires diligence and recommitment and getting back underway. The key phrase, I think, coming out of this pandemic is economic mobility. The country discovered a lot of things. One of the things it discovers about Latinos is that we were right in the core of the essential workers. Essential workers were people who had to go to work, did not work in businesses where they could do it from home as others had the luxury, but they had to be on the job to do the food processing for grocery stores to do the bank teller function, to keep the financial system working, to do the mechanical work in buildings of custodial and mechanical functions, to do the work within the healthcare system, not just the doctors and nurses, but the orderlies and the people who cleaned out the toxic waste, et cetera. All of those things were the kinds of jobs that Latinos have done. Many people, unfortunately, were exposed to the virus in the process. Others others taught us that essential workers need to be paid decent wages. So economic mobility is now understood in our country as never before. The pandemic undercovered, pulled off the scab, if you will, and showed us the wound that exists in our country. And it falls to all of us, including the U.S. Hispanic Chamber, to commit ourselves to that reality of economic mobility. There are many Latinos with skills, with determination, with the right work ethic, who with some help can be the next generation of our businesses. Therefore, the U.S. Hispanic Chamber will lead us in the advocacy for continued relief. The Congress, House and Senate are now talking once again about some kind of a relief package that would include paycheck protection once again for small businesses. We need to make sure that Latinos are in the forefront of that. And I know, Ramiro, you'll see that the Hispanic Chamber is in the forefront. We also need local policies. Cities are doing things to help small businesses. Here in San Antonio, on Election Day this year, we will have a referendum that I know Ramiro is aware of and supports to create training for workers to be able to move to higher wages, following the iron rule that low skills equals low wages. High skills, on the other hand, equals high wages. So we need training programs that reach deep into our communities, including for our small businesses to avail themselves of trained talent for their futures. All of these are important policies going forward. One of the most important things we're going to see in the near future, and whether it's in a second Trump term or whether it's in a Biden administration, is an emphasis on infrastructure, which means a lot of construction and construction-related jobs. We'll need Latinos involved in that. Very important that we have some standing, some voice in the infrastructure discussions of the country. Finally, let me say with respect to the issues going forward, Latinos, simply stated, will be a major force in the American future. Half of the growth of population in America between now and 2050 will be the growth of the Latino population. We're going to be a major, major force in all of those things that are fueled by growth. The American enterprise system and capitalism requires growth, and Latinos are the ones who are going to be bringing that growth. We're the backbone of the American economy. If America is going to have a strong middle class in the year 2040 and the year 2050, it will have to include a large Latino presence. And how do people get to the middle class? Traditionally in America, one answer has been to be in business. We can't build a middle class just on government jobs. We can't build a middle class just by being the workers in enterprises. We build a middle class by providing decent incomes out of the businesses we grow, and more importantly, wealth. Let me just say, there's a fine distinction there, but an important one. Income is what one makes in salary. It goes to pay off your expenses, family obligations, family budget. It's generally in and out, with the possible exception of some minor savings. But wealth is a different proposition completely. Wealth is what you can amass. Wealth is what you keep. Wealth begins to create net worth. Wealth is in home ownership. It's in ownership of properties. It's in ownership of a business. It's in holding stocks and bonds and retirement programs and pension systems and 401ks, et cetera. Today, Latinos make about 68% in income of the average American wage. So we're behind on income to start with, right? But the picture is really dire with respect to wealth. We control only 10% the amount that the average American family does. 10%. Some of that is explainable because we're younger. We've come to the game more recently as immigrants. Understood. But the agenda for the future has to be to build Latino wealth, because that is what gets us to the middle class. That's what gives us independence. That's what allows us to send a child to college without burdening them with debt. That's what allows us to sell a property to start a small business that succeeds and multiplies. This is a great system America has built. The pandemic didn't kill it, and this economic downturn won't either. And one of the great benefits that America has is that it has its large population of Latinos. It's one of the great blessings of America that there's a population group that is hardworking, understands the future, wants to raise its children with decency, pays its taxes, looks to invest in the future, is ambitious, wants to grow, wants to be part of the American dream. That's who we are. That's who we are. We bring something to America, and we bring it in large measure because of our entrepreneurs and our business ethic. And thank goodness we have a single voice speaking with unity, understanding all of us and understanding our dreams for the future. And that is the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for your work. Ramiro, thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Mr. Cisneros. And now, please welcome the Vice-Ranking Member of the U.S. House Subcommittee on Diversity and Inclusion from the great state of Ohio, Congressman Anthony Gonzalez.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for the opportunity to address you here briefly. A great presentation from Mr. Cisneros. Thank you for that. I won't rehash everything he said, but I wanted to start with my story as a Latino, but then also what I'm working on in the Financial Services Committee and the Science, Space, and Technology Committee, and how it applies to our communities. So my father came to this country in 1960 from Cuba, had to escape the Castro regime as many Cubans in America did during that time. And the year before I was born, 1983, he started his first business. Like many Latinos, he has, and my whole family has, that entrepreneurial bug, and the bug to come here and to build the life that we want in the great country that we are all so fortunate to live in. And it was from him that I first saw how difficult it is, but the opportunities that come from building a strong business, and the employment opportunities and the importance that it has in our communities. But it wasn't until I became an adult and I ultimately played football in the NFL. I played 5 seasons for the Indianapolis Colts, but then went and got my MBA at Stanford University before starting businesses of my own and then coming into Congress. It was as an adult that I saw 2 barriers in particular, not just to the Latino community, but to minority communities all across the country. And that's 1, access to affordable capital, and 2, access to a great education that prepares us for the jobs of the 21st century. So a quick story on access to capital. I'll tell you about 2 people. Number 1 was a friend of mine at business school. And this particular person, grew up in a very privileged family, went to all the best schools, went to the best universities, but did run into some legal challenges at one point, and ultimately fell into the criminal justice system. When he came out, this particular individual borrowed a interest-free loan from his family and started an investment fund, and with that has been able to build an enormous amount of wealth as a result of that experience. That's one experience. The second experience was a teammate of mine. Now, he wasn't a Latino, he was an African-American, but this particular teammate had a great, promising career and was drafted to play in the NFL. Ultimately, fell into substance abuse. Substance abuse led to violence and ultimately went to prison. When he came out, he had a completely different experience from my first friend. This particular person had very few people to turn to, no access to capital at all, and hadn't completed his education. By the grace of God, we share a coach and a mentor that wouldn't let this particular kid fail. And so he helped him graduate, helped him get back on his feet, and ultimately, through great difficulty, this individual found a way to start multiple businesses and is now living a very successful life himself. But I think we all know, everybody who's listening, that that's not the normal path. The normal path is that if you fall down and you don't have all the connections and you don't have ties into very successful parts of our society, that climbing back out of that hole usually doesn't happen. Usually the opposite happens. Usually you stay down, unfortunately. And so it's with that in mind that on the Financial Services Committee, in particular on the Diversity Inclusion Subcommittee, I've been focused almost exclusively on expanding access to capital for minorities, Latinos in particular, yes, but minority communities across the country. Because I know whether you're Warren Buffett or just a guy coming out of college, if you can't borrow money, if you don't have access to affordable capital at good rates, it is going to be very difficult to build real wealth in this country. And too much of our capital today for our Latino community comes with an enormous cost, sometimes as much as 100%, depending on what the type of loan is. And so I've been working with my Democratic colleagues, and I'll work with anybody who wants to work on this, to lower the barriers to start businesses and to lower the cost of capital for our Latino communities. Because I know from watching my father, who took an SBA loan, that if you have access to affordable capital and you have the entrepreneurial spirit and you have the diligence and you do all the right things in this country, no matter what anybody says, you can succeed and you will succeed. You can fight through any barrier provided you have the building blocks in place. And the second piece that I focused on, it gets back to the workforce development component, and that's expanding access to STEM education so that everybody has an opportunity to participate in the 21st century economy. Our economy in the 21st century is going to be incredibly diverse, just as our country is. And if you have the right skill set, no matter what it is, you should be able to put it to work. If you want to be a welder, you should be a welder. You want to be an electrician. But if you want to be a software engineer, if you want to build the next great technology product, we have to have those opportunities in our society. And so as long as I'm a member of Congress, those will be my two focuses. With those stories I told in the background, how do we expand the promise of America to more families across the country? How do we get the cost of capital down for our Latino community and minority communities across the country? And how do we equip ourselves with the tools to succeed in the 21st century? So thank you again to the U.S. Hispanic Chamber for having me here today. It truly is an honor to be a part of this. And God bless everybody. And thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Gonzalez. Now, with a special message for conference attendees, the chair of the Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship, Senator Marco Rubio.
Hi, this is Marco Rubio, and I'm sorry I'm not with you this year and in person, but I thank you for having this gathering nonetheless, and what's been a very trying year for all of us, but I know for so many of your members. In my role here, especially as the chairman of the Small Business Committee, I think often about our community. As I just drive 5 blocks from my home on Southwest 8th Street, and it's small business after small business. Many of those small businesses are the life's work of a family, meaning the whole family's put their heart and soul into it. The father and the mother opened it, the kids now run it, and they hope their kids will inherit that small business. And then they were told they have to close. Many of them are gone forever. Others have reopened but are facing tremendous challenges. And it's not just the business, it's the people that work there. And that's why, for me, the Paycheck Protection Program was so important. It was personal. I knew the people that were benefiting from the program. I knew the people, and still know the people, obviously, that are facing tremendous uncertainty. I think about the dry cleaning shop that I've been going to for 20 years and how their revenues are down, in some cases 75 or 80%. They're open, but with people not working as much in person, they're not dry cleaning as often. And their employees have had to have cutbacks in the hours they're working as well. So it has a trickle effect that's extraordinary. I think that's true for the whole country, but I think that's especially true for communities as entrepreneurial as the Hispanic community is in this country. So this is a terrible time for a lot of people, a tremendous number of challenges, But by the same token, we're grateful for organizations such as yours and the Hispanic Chamber that's out there every day providing information, resources, and assistance to those who are trying to hold on to their piece of the American dream. So thank you for what you do every year, but thank you this year in particular for helping so many get through this. We will get through this. Things will get better, but we've got some tough days ahead, and thank you for everything you're doing to help us get through it. God bless all of you. Stay safe.
Thank you, Senator Rubio. And now, representing the Friends of the National Museum of the American Latino, Board Chair Danny Vargas and former Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen.
Hello. Thank you so much, United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and thank you, Ramiro, for having us. My name is Danny Vargas. I'm the chairman of the board of the Friends of the National Museum of the American Latino. I want to thank the Chamber for all of its support for our effort over the years. It's been instrumental in trying to make sure that we can achieve success for this project. As you know, the National Museum of the American Latino effort is about telling the American story. It's 500 plus years of Latino contributions to the building, the shaping, and the defending of this nation, stories that have yet to be told in our national museums, missing pages and missing chapters in our history books, and we're about making sure that we can provide a more complete and accurate telling of American history to illuminate the American story for the benefit of everyone, and we need your help. To tell us where we are right now, we're pleased to be joined by one of our newer board members, our madrina in this effort, 30 years in the United States Congress, the first Latina in Congress, and the first woman to chair the Foreign Affairs Committee, our dear friend, Ileana Ros-Lehtinen. Thank you, Ileana.
Thank you so much, Danny, and thank you to the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Your voice is so needed, and we're so blessed in our board to have a leader like Danny, who's been at the forefront of every struggle to make sure that the Hispanic voice is well represented. And there's no better manifestation for this Hispanic voice to be represented than establishing the Latino Museum. And as Danny knows, I became aware of the need, the void that exists when I got to Congress. And, you know, as he said, I served 30 years. My kids were so little, 2 and 3 years old. We would walk around the mall and we'd see this museum and that museum. And I thought, gee, you know, we feel so Hispanic and American. Where is our museum? Where is our history? Where is our story? And that's how Danny and I became involved with the establishment of the Latino Museum. We've come a long way, but we need a little bit more to go. We need to pass it in the Senate. Overwhelming support in the House of Representatives, thanks to the leadership of Danny and all of our board members of the Friends of the Latino Museum. We just have to one more step, get it through the Senate, and then we start to fundraise. So Danny, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for everything you've done to make sure that the Hispanic voice is represented in our nation's capital.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you for your incredible voice. To the chamber members and everyone present, thank you for your support. We are first and goal. We are so close to getting it done. We're at the 1 yard line, but we need your help. Urge your senators to support this bill. We need to get it passed this year in this Congress. You can help donate to our cause. Go to AmericanLatinoMuseum.org. We need your help. We need your dollars, and we need your prayers. Thank you all so very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you to the Hispanic Chamber. Los queremos.
Gracias. And now, joining us, the chair of the Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship from the great state of Colorado, Senator Cory Gardner.
Hello to the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. It's great to be with you, at least virtually. I'm sorry that we're not together in person, but I hope we can do that again soon. The last several months have been an incredible challenge to families across this country. Every community, every individual has felt the impact of COVID-19 and what it means to our economy and to our country. When the very first orders went out to tell people to socially distance, to wear your mask, to shut your restaurant doors, to close your hotels, our economy felt the hit immediately. It was done out of love to protect our neighbors and our friends and our family members. But it's Congress's responsibility to make sure that we get back through this together, that we get our economy moving again, that we get people into the position where they don't have concerns any longer about how they're going to make ends meet, how they're going to pay their mortgage, how they're going to keep their family together. Over the last several years, we've seen Hispanic businesses in this country boom. The last decade has been defined by small businesses, doors of opportunity opening in Hispanic businesses across the country, and particularly in Colorado and communities like mine in the little town of Yuma, Colorado. That work has led to more opportunity, more employment, and greater successes for millions of Americans across this country and for people around the globe who look at the United States as that place that continues to be that bright, shining city on a hill. We need policies that continue to get dollars into businesses to help them keep their doors open, advancing a paycheck protection program that allows people to get a second draw on their loan, making sure that unserved and underserved communities have the dollars they need to keep people employed and hired, to make sure that it's not just traditional banks that have access to these funds, that we help different kinds of lenders like CDFI lenders and CDC lenders so that we can help minority communities across the state of Colorado and this country, because they may not have the same kinds of long-term relationships to banks that other communities have. Look, we're going to get through this together. No one works harder than the members of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to make sure that their businesses are going to survive. We need to continue our work together. We're in this fight together. Our country is united together. You know, I had the opportunity to go to church the week before it was shut down and we could no longer go to church in person and everything went online. And we were reviewing the passage in the Bible that talks about this, that out of our struggles and tribulations comes perseverance. Out of perseverance is built character, and out of that character comes hope. To the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we are going to survive this. We're going to be stronger than ever. We need you, all of us together, to stand strong and to know that our brighter days are ahead of us. Thanks for having me today, and I look forward to being with you in person.
Thank you, Senator Gardner. And now, it's my honor to introduce you to our next speaker. She's the only Latina serving on the President's cabinet. Jovita Carranza's grit and determination began with her career as a part-time night shift box handler at United Parcel Service, working her way up within the corporation to become president of Latin American Caribbean operations, while becoming at the same time the highest ranking Latina in the history of UPS's history. She has served previously as the Treasurer of the United States. She was born in Chicago, a daughter of immigrants from Mexico, and her legacy is an example to follow not only for America's small business entrepreneurs, but for all future Latina and women leaders as well. It was my pleasure to be a witness for her swearing-in ceremony at the White House Oval Office, her grandson holding her family Bible as she became our 26th administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration. On my journey these last 2 years at the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I have seen her fight on behalf of our Latino-owned businesses as our SBA administrator. She's been the right person at the right place at the right time to help our small Latino-owned businesses during this very difficult year. Please join me at this time in welcoming our SBA administrator, our great friend, Jovita Carranza.
Hello to the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and a happy National Hispanic Heritage Month. It is a tremendous honor to join this premier business event and share a little about the great entrepreneurial opportunities for Hispanic Americans. I want to thank Mr. Ramiro Cavazos for leading the Chamber with excellence. President Donald Trump has sent me out to visit small businesses throughout our incredible country. And as I travel from city to city, Latino business owners are among those who have filled me with great hope for the months ahead. I see the resolve as we restore and rebuild our economy in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. The scores of workers, young people, pastors, and parents I have spoken to embody our community's resilient and hardworking spirit. We know our greatest strength comes from our faith and our bond with each other. Recently, I had the privilege of attending a naturalization ceremony. 25 individuals from more than a dozen different countries became U.S. citizens in just one of several ceremonies that day. With tears in their eyes, men and women clutched the American flag and pledged allegiance to the greatest country in the world. For some of you, that is your story too. In my family, that was my grandparents' story. when they immigrated to the U.S., they knew how special America was, that here their children and future grandchildren would have the freedom and opportunity to pursue the American dream. I'm a second-generation Mexican-American, born and raised in a working-class community of Chicago. And today, it is the honor of a lifetime to serve President Donald Trump as head of the U.S. Small Business Administration. Under this president's leadership, our community has been empowered with unprecedented opportunities to achieve their dreams. In the past 4 months, Hispanic Americans have gained back more than 3 million jobs. Over the past 3 years, Hispanics have experienced record low unemployment and poverty rates, and record high home ownership and entrepreneurial growth. In fact, Latinos became the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. To help every Hispanic individual succeed, the President established the Hispanic Prosperity Initiative Commission, of which I am honored to serve as a member. We are among more than 60 million Hispanics in the United States. Our community is strong and vibrant, especially among our youth, where every month in the U.S., 75,000 Hispanics turn 18 years old. It is vital that we set up the next generation for success. We must ensure there are viable pathways available to our youth, including education, training, and skill development. That is the heartbeat behind the Hispanic Prosperity Commission. I believe it was mi destino to lead the SBA during this historic time. Hispanic small businesses have weathered the coronavirus pandemic, economic shutdowns, property damage from civil unrest, and natural disasters. Through it all, this administration has stood by them. With the full backing of the White House and in coordination with the Treasury Department, SBA launched the Paycheck Protection Program. We have approved over 5 million PPP loans to small businesses and faith-based organizations, supporting tens of millions of American jobs. Importantly, we took unprecedented steps to ensure small businesses in underserved communities could access these forgivable PPP loans. As a result, nearly 70% of all PPP loans went to firms with fewer than 10 employees, an important metric since the average Hispanic-owned business employs between 1 to 4 employees. As I travel across the country, I have had the privilege of visiting many Hispanic-owned small businesses that received one of these PPP loans. From a Venezuelan restaurant in Pennsylvania to a Dominican-owned hair products manufacturer in North Carolina, there has been incredible ingenuity displayed among our Latino entrepreneurs during this challenging season. Over and over, I see the principles of faith, family, and hard work as the pillars of success in the Hispanic business community. And I know going forward, it will be those same values that will propel us to even greater heights. Our work is certainly not done, and you have my commitment that the Trump administration will continue to stand by your side, supporting you as you seek a bright future for those who depend on you. Mil gracias to each of the business owners, executives, and chamber presidents. You play a vital role in your communities by providing jobs and supporting Hispanic entrepreneurs as they grow and thrive.
Thank you for joining us today. We are grateful for our shared mission and look forward to continuing our work alongside the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and all of you in service of our communities during this critical year and for many years to come.
Más de 4 millones de hispanos son dueños de empresas en este país. Y en estos tiempos de crisis económica, Telemundo se compromete a ayudarlos a través de nuestra campaña Nuestros Negocios. Visita nuestra página web para más información.
Many thanks to all our guest speakers. We're grateful for your time and wisdom. Our workshop panels will begin at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Choose from Flip the Script, transforming your business to access capital. How Hispanic-owned businesses can succeed via federal government contracting. And Elevating Your Capability Statement. Our next plenary, Paths for HBEs in Today's Challenging Markets, will begin at 1:30 Eastern. Plan on joining us right here. And our sincere gratitude to our gracious corporate partners, without whom this virtual program would not have been possible.
We are entering a new chapter in our lives. Our confidence is shaken, cracked. We didn't ask for it, but we are rising to meet it. And how far we've come isn't even close to how far we can go. There's a crack in everything for a reason. How else can the light get in? Tomorrow starts today.
This is more than an auto shop. These are experts people count on to keep moving. This is more than a bakery. It's a family tradition. Your small business means more than business to your community. So your hard work and perseverance deserves more support, like tips and resources to manage your money, partners to help you grow online, and contactless payments to keep you and everyone around you safer. That's a better normal.
I will go forward for my land and my legacy. Onward, forward, creating our destiny. Our past made history. I feel it in my soul and in my memory. My community lifts me higher, and I will go forward together with them.
You have the power to inspire the world. We connect you to everything that helps you move forward.
What does sueñito mean?
Sueñito, it means little dream.
That's it? No story?
It's a story of a block that was disappearing in un barrio called Washington Heights. The streets were made of music. I am Usnavi, and you probably never heard my name. Saving up all my pennies in my piggy bank for this day.
This is going to be an emotional roller coaster. The odds are against you.
But there's a chance, right? Yeah, I'm a street light choking on the heat. A dream isn't some sparkly diamond. Sometimes it's rough.
They're talking about kicking out all the dreamers. It's time to make some noise.
We had to tell the world we are not invisible.
Until the day we go from poverty to stock options. Today's all we got, so we cannot stop. This is our block in the heights.
Your bank for then. Your bank for now. BBVA is your bank for getting back to work with more than $3.6 billion in small business loans and an award-winning app. For helping your business move forward, BBVA is your bank.
Here, we're getting ready to reconnect with old friends. Here to chit-chat with our favorite customers. Because it's time to reopen our small businesses, to reactivate the economy y nuestras vidas. One appointment, one client, one thank you at a time. And to help you reopen, Spectrum Business will give you a free month of service when you switch, so you can let your pasión fuel your business now more than ever. Because our past experiences have made us even more resilient, more inventive. Spectrum Business stands with you because you make our comunidad stronger.
Life is busy, so come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. First, fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new.
Nice.
Then save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again.
Oh, wow.
And finally, snack up to save even more at the pump.
That's great.
Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell.
Wait, there's 3 of me? Awesome.
Your El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce wants you to know.
Estamos abiertos.
We're open for business. Estamos abiertos.
We're open for business.
Estamos abiertos. We are open for business.
abiertos.
We're open for business. Your El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, bringing our business community together as one and open, juntos.